Welcome back to the Surrender to Glory podcast. You're here with your hosts,
Billy Gasky.
and Travis Green, and today we're joined with an awesome new guest, someone that has just been introduced to us recently, and he's got a lot of exciting stuff to talk about. So, Rob, you gonna take the floor?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Rob Challenger, and I own a local investment advisory firm. That's what I do professionally, but that's not really what we got together to talk about. No, I guess we'll get into it.
Okay, yeah, let's rock and roll. Yeah, so we were introduced by a mutual friend, Amanda, and so long story short, went through a whole phase again. And kind of we haven't made a podcast in a while, kind of been falling out and been struggling a little bit. And I said the most dangerous prayer again, right? Yeah, Lord, use me for something. I'm becoming stale. I need you to show me something. Need to use me for something. And it wasn't. But a few hours later that evening, my wife walked in and said, "Hey, Amanda, she contacted me, said she thinks you're perfect for something." And I'm like, "What? Okay." And yeah, and so she linked me up with you, and so she said she's taking on a new job, and I got to meet this guy Rob, and he's got some awesome things going, and with Anchor Point, right? Anchor Point
that's right.
Pregnancy Crisis Center. So there's a new program called the All Star Dads, and so you want to tell us some more about that?
Yeah, so the All-Star Dads, the program actually started up a year or two pre-COVID, and it really had some wheels. They were doing events, a lot of people were coming, and obviously when COVID came around, it just shut it down. So after, as they started to kind of ramp it back up, it just didn't have the legs that it did. It was something that I learned about earlier on, but then when it went away, it wasn't front of mind, but it was always back of mind, to where it was something that I considered. Hey, wonder what these guys are up to, because it did seem like a good initiative. So when I reached out to Anchor Point, it really didn't have a whole lot of structure, and they needed somebody to kind of help lead it. And so that's when I said, well, if that's where God's put me, then who am I to question it? So very similar maybe to the way that you came to it, just got plugged in.
Yeah.
And it was like, hey, there was no objection. What am I going to do?
Yeah,
I don't
it's
want to
hard
help
when you're
guys be
following-
better
yeah.
dads. There's people out there that need something that I could provide, and I'm just going to say no. So it started to get some traction, and one of the things I'll tell you is consistent is anybody I talk to about it says, man, this is necessary.
Yeah, it's needed.
Whether I'm talking
Sure.
to men, women, kids, everybody says, I can get behind that. This is something that needs to happen.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like we're seeing today, the nuclear family is under attack, and like we were talking about off mic, like it is more of an incentive to not have that family together to get the benefits that our society decides. And then you look at social media, and social media says, you do you, and all this, and it's just there's an attack on the family. And when that family's not there, like you're saying, the structure of that family's not there, it's just so much more likely for the children to go down roads that they shouldn't be taking, and to be part of something that's going to facilitate keeping that family together and building that family and making that family stronger is just amazing. And I'm honored to have that,
Yeah. So also kind of share with the group that, what does it take to get in this program? Is there an age limit? Is there, what are some of the list of things you have to check off before joining this group, if any?
It's a group for males.
Yeah.
Okay. It's for men, mainly because we do want to have that safe space where we can come in and just maybe be true to ourselves and and be able to get recognize real growth. So we do have interest in young men, which is exciting. Where I've talked to several moms or dads that say, hey, I've got a 17 or 18 or a 20-year-old that knows that they want to get married, they know they want to have kids, and so they want to go ahead and get in an environment where they're surrounded with people with like-minded.
Yeah.
If we're men focused on fatherhood, I mean, what man does that not affect? We all have a dad.
Yes.
Right? So there's number one.
Yeah.
So we could have, as men come in, they may have trauma from experiences with their dad. Maybe
Yeah.
their dad had drug problems, alcoholism, absentee.
Yeah.
Go down the list. I just named a couple that probably would be more popular. But yeah, men focused on fatherhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like we were saying, there's no ceiling on that.
Right.
So like whether like, we may not have some of the same struggles that other men have, but that doesn't mean that we can't in some way be a better father to our children
Sure.
and learn something from someone that's gone through something that we haven't gone through to help us.
You had mentioned just a second ago. You'd mentioned you were talking about the core family unit and the statistics for success if that's broken, and it occurred to me that being a present father makes you better because now you've got accountability too.
Yeah.
You think about that is if I'm separated or my former spouse or baby's mom has the kids, what disciplines do I need to live up to now?
Yeah.
What is my lifestyle like now that maybe, so having the kids and being at home and having to be home at a certain time and have a job and those things is good and healthy.
Yeah,
right.
and
That's right.
even if
For us
if you are separated for whatever reason, you're still a dad. It doesn't give you the freedom to leave the children behind and not even think twice. Like, even if you only get the children every other weekend or Wednesdays or whatever, it's still your responsibility to be a good father to your children. So you can still come and learn from that as well.
Right.
Definitely.
Well, awesome. So, meetings. How does that go?
So right now we are meeting on the first Saturday of each month.
Okay.
That's designated. We don't miss it. We also will have kind of ad hoc meetings. So I like car shows. A lot of times they're
Who doesn't?
in a parking lot at a Home Depot or
yeah.
something. So if I see a car show's going on and I know Christy's going to be working or whatever, I'll grab the girls, send out a text. Hey, I'm going to be at the Home Depot, car show, and the girls will walk around and see. So we can get together and do stuff like that. We actually did go to. I'd had interest in going to the Mecum auto auctions. You guys ever been to an auto auction?
No, I've been to an auto auction, but not
Okay.
Mecum.
Okay. So it was pretty cool. And we, when we got there, so it was just me and then this other dad. We get there and he rode with me. We parked. Well, I noticed there was like a big crowd around this big like 18-wheeler, and I was like, man, what's going on over there? And like, we're gonna figure it out. So we get up there.
The original Shelby or something.
So they had these guys. They call it. Is it drifting?
Oh,
Okay,
yeah.
and they had a Charger and a Challenger, and they were just
That's what
out
that
there
was saying.
sliding
Oh,
all
wow,
over the
yeah.
place. And so I was like, "You wanna?" He's like, "Yeah." So we got in there, and it was crazy. So there was a little bit of a line if you wanted to sit in the front seat of the Challenger, but the Charger said if you take the back seat, and then a lot of people wanted to ride alone. I was like, I'll ride in the back seat. I'll ride with him. And man, it scared. That's an intense
Oh, it's
ride,
fun.
I'm
because
sure,
you're
yeah.
headed straight at the wall. You do this? Is
That's
this
what that one's set up
Oh, that's
for.
what that does. Nice.
Yeah, I haven't put it into a wall or anything, but that's
Yeah.
what that one does.
Yeah, he's.
I think we got sideways in it the first time I took you
We
out.
did, didn't we? Yeah, yeah.
And
So
that's when it was stock.
we're staring at his skyline behind me. So
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, that's awesome. I don't know, but Jamie will let me go to an auction. She might be worried I come home with a car. But
Let her know you can't just show
Yeah.
up and buy a
she
car.
will
There's a
maybe leave all the
registration
credit cards in
process.
her home.
Right.
Yeah. I'll be in big trouble. I can't afford any more of those.
But there's some cool cars though. I mean, you get to, and then it's different than I expected because there's so many different types of cars. There's
Yeah.
like jacked up trucks, but more than anything, I got to establish a relationship with this young man, and it's interesting. We talked about the note cards, and the note cards actually came from something that I'd done in my past and when I was in the Marine Corps. And in the Marines, you've got this level of discipline, that you can pretty much start, stop, do whatever you want. But on the breaks, I'd picked up going over with the smokers, right? So because it was just something I could do, and because it gets you a break. I mean,
That's what my dad used to talk about
Yeah.
before he went to Vietnam. They're like, yeah, you took your smoke break or you did push-ups the whole time. And then it's like, I'll go take the smoke break.
Smoke. But it was it challenged me to stop, you know. So here I was thinking, man, here I've got this discipline.
Yeah.
I can do anything I want, but this thing, this going over and having a cigarette is just too hard to kick. So I took a note card and I wrote on it, "Don't smoke," and I put it in my pocket, and it was always there. And anytime I thought about it, or anybody walked over, I just pulled it out and looked at it. And it changed. I mean, it was just that initial
mindset,
that
yeah.
reminder that I needed. And so the "Why Am I Here" card. So the first meeting that I had, I put the "Why Am I Here" on a note card. Fast forward, so I go do this thing with this young man. We go to the car show. We get back and we sit in my car for a little bit before he gets in his car to leave. And one of the little gimmies that they had handed out there was this little notebook, you know, like a pocket-sized notebook and a pen. And I said, "Hey, man, take that notebook out real quick." And I said, "I want you to write this down. I want you to write, why am I here? And I just want you to keep that in your front pocket. I want you to think about that anytime you put your hand in your pocket." And about 2 days later, he texted me. And it was a long text. And he was talking about, one, thanks for spending time with me. Man, think about how lonely we are sometimes, right, as men.
Yeah.
And then he said, "You're right. I have not been taking care of the things that I need to take care of." Now, that doesn't become a success story. That becomes a moment of progress.
Yeah.
And, we know it's going to get harder. We know there's going to be challenges. That's not the end of our challenge. But in that one morning on a Saturday where we just went and looked at cars, something I wanted to do anyways, and spend some time with this young man, he had a moment of clarity,
Yeah.
and still someone I have a relationship with, still somebody I check in with, still working through things together. But, so yeah, when do we meet? We meet on the first Saturday of each month. We'll do ad hoc meetings, and we're trying to get more meetings. Just because not everybody can make Saturdays, that's not realistic for everybody. I also know that within Anchor Point, they're putting together a calendar of workshops. So these workshops would be, how to change a tire, how to, just some of these life skills that may not have been taught to these men.
Yeah.
So we talk about saving money, managing money. There's all kinds of things that we could talk about.
That's
Yeah.
a big
So. So the community workshops, we'll be rolling out a calendar for those things coming
That's
up. So we're trying to find more and more ways to get plugged in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And it's beautiful to hear like that, like just to be able to have men be able to lean on each other and know that we're not alone, even though sometimes, like you said, it can feel lonely and we can feel alone. But if you have accountability, you have someone there for you, and that's awesome.
Yeah, I think nowadays intentionality is what we miss. I mean, just
I think
it's a
COVID really
big
brought
gap.
that to life
Yeah,
too.
there's a
You
huge
you
gap.
never really know how alone you are until you're isolated.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And like we as men, we're lucky enough to have families. So even though we're isolated in our house, we had our family with us. But imagine being a single dad separated from his children, isolated in his apartment. I mean, it could get really lonely.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we will definitely link the Anchor Point Pregnancy Crisis Center to the podcast, and then we'll also put the first date, January 7th.
Awesome.
Time
yeah.
frame.
Yeah, so we meet from 10 to noon, first Saturday of every month
Oh, that's cool.
at Anchor Point, and that's 103 Davis Road, I believe, the
Okay.
corner of Davis and Marina Bay, across
That's
from
right.
the Clear Creek.
Yep.
Awesome. So if you all
Drive.
know anybody that is going to be a dad, is a new dad, is a current dad, anybody who just wants to get together and have community and share time with other like-minded men that are trying to build strong, family bonded relationships, hit us up and come out. We'll point you in the right direction. Come out and see us. We'll all three be there
Yeah.
January 7th.
Yep. Definitely.
Awesome. Well, thanks for
Yeah,
talking with
thank
us.
you.
This
Yeah,
has
awesome.
been awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
Well,
See you next time.
see you next time.